How credible are the emails exposing communication between the Guptas and President Jacob Zuma? Is South Africa being sold to the highest bidder? Why are some state institutions always in the news for all the wrong reasons? And what does the state of capture report mean to the current public protector? What time is it? It's question time. Khodzong, and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tsedu. If the revelations by weekend publications are anything to go by, the running of the affairs of the country has become a cause for concern. A series of emails between the Gupta family and President Jacob Zuma are making headlines. Several cabinet ministers and leading political figures are also implicated. This follows a report compiled by leading academics titled "Betrayal of the Promise: How South Africa is Being Stolen." Emails from reliable sources allege that President Zuma might be considering moving to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Meanwhile, the Gupta family lawyer Gert van der Merwe is reported as saying these email leaks were specifically timed to influence the ANC's NEC meeting held over the weekend. But is South Africa under capture? We are live, and therefore you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial is 089-110-4210. Our Twitter handle @QuestionTime24. My guest, Ben Theron, is Outer's Chief Operations or the Operating Officer, and from our Pretoria studios, Professor Lisiba Tefu. He's a political analyst. And we had expected to be joined by Professor Mzugisi Qobo, but we are not able to get hold of him. But please do call us 089-110-4210 so that we are able to interact with you. But before we get into the discussion, let's have a look at what the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Gwede Mantashe, had to say today.
We accepted the proposal that was tabled in the political report for the establishment of a judicial commission of inquiry into allegations of state capture. Without delay, the terms of reference of such a commission of inquiry must be broad enough to uncover the influence of business on the state.
Well, that was ANC Secretary General on their position on the inquiry into state capture. Gentlemen, let me welcome you. But let me just start with Professor Tefu there in our Pretoria studios. Prof, thank you very much for joining us. Short notice, but I guess these are the privileges of working with your former students. But just give us your understanding of the state of perhaps of the ANC, of the country, following the report, but also these emails which really got us talking all over the weekend.
Well, we are talking, the ANC is talking, and I think rightly so. It has been coming for quite some time, and you can only keep quiet for so long and no further. But it is specific questions that I raise for myself that matter most. Just linking up with the last clause of what the Secretary General said right now. Establishment of a commission of inquiry with immediate effect. Well and good. To which end? For what purpose? Because the recommendations will be made. Will they be implemented? We have had commissions. We have had task teams, and we have seen failure to implement those. And that's what makes many people worry a lot, in that there is an erosion of the rule of law. That tenet of law, respect for the rule of law, is crucial to South Africa, and is what is making people begin to rise and say, if number one himself cannot respect the law, who else can? We have to hold him accountable together with whom he is working. All else indicate that it's a free-for-all And the people of the land are saying no more and no further. We have to intervene and do something for ourselves.
Prof, I must be honest with you. I think what is keeping me going since this thing started is the wish that this can't be true.
Well, yeah. How did we get here? I mean, there was so much hope and promise. You know, the national flag, I say to my colleagues, I am a captured person. I am captured by the national constitution. I am captured by the national flag of the Republic of South Africa, because in there is embedded the aspirations and the promise for the people of this land. Now, when any other person begin to derail us from that project, we must rally around as a collective, lest we perish together as fools.
I really wish, you know, that those emails are not factual, you know. I wish we could wake up and we are told, no, it wasn't the case.
So do all of us. Because if the emails are true, it speaks of a president that has sold his soul.
Yeah.
And we're all hoping that is not true. Because if he sold his soul, he sold South African soul. And we can't afford that. We have fought too long and too hard, and there are too many sacrifices made to get to where we are today. It's a sad day.
The DA says they are looking at how they can deal with this matter legally. I don't know how is this going to help. Is it not a political matter?
Ideally, if you look at, let's take a step back into the Constitution. The Constitution has built in very specific mechanisms to make sure that if a head of state steps out of line, you've got the National Assembly that steps in and protects that. What we do have right now is that the National Assembly actually ignores their own responsibilities, and they just allow the president to run havoc over everything that's there. And that is not correct.
Let's take Muzi. Muzi, you are on the line. Welcome.
Hi, gentlemen. Good evening, viewers at home.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, it's such an embarrassment whereby as South Africans will watch people using such discussed information to mislead the people of our country. It's very sad that also many political analysts can't give direction to this. Instead, they are fueling this misperception and all that. But also, it is quite important to also note that in our country there is a constitution. Yes, we understand that, but also the issue of understanding that we do have our national intelligence in our country who guide such information. As long as the national intelligence hasn't issued anything verifying such, this thing is utter nonsense, is utter disgust. It cannot be verified as true. Number two, the issue of actually misleading the people, including our very own analysts, even in the studio. Let us stop it. Let us allow the rule of law to take its course. If those emails are true, someone must go to the SABC and lay a charge. Finish.
Okay, thanks very much, Muzi, there in Pietermaritzburg. Well, indeed. So, you either shut up or you bring proof. What are you going to do?
What we are doing is we are looking into the matter of the emails. But we need to step away from the emails, because the email is just a symptom. Let's go back to the report that you started this conversation with.
Yes.
The SABC a week ago came out scathing against what's happening in the country. That's Thursday, 10 days ago. Last Thursday, the academics released a follow-up report to that, stating how the state has been captured. And what they talk about is a shadow state. So in theory, what has happened is that the ANC won the election and they set the government there. What has happened now is that even the current government has been overshadowed by a shadow government. So decisions are not taken in the formal structures of South Africa, it's taken outside that. And there's not only one shadow government, there are multiple. So therefore, as much as we talk within the the constraints of the law, the constraints of the structures that have been put in place. It is outside those where decisions are taken. And if you look at how decisions are taken in Parliament, the decisions are not even taken in Parliament nowadays. The ministers get informed about what decisions were taken.
Okay. Prof, you listened to the information coming out of those emails. There's confidential information which was shared. I mean, cabinet meetings, minutes were shared with people who are not in cabinet. The Guptas are said to have received confidential cabinet meetings information from Faith Mutambi. They tried to intervene to have Faith's powers strengthened, and they received Msebenzi Zwane's CV a month before he was appointed Mineral Resources Minister. You know, which is something that says, you know what, these appointments were not being made by the presidents, if that's the case. But before you respond, Prof, let's take, is it Lindy in Worcester?
Lindy, yes, in Worcester.
Welcome, sis.
Yes. I've never believed in the president in the first place. I've never know how South Africans think when they elected him into power, because he was already crowded with criminal cases. And now there is Gupta. South Africans must wake up. This is going very bad. We do not want a banana state. We must stand up for this democracy. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Prof, the information that I gave you, and I remember very well, by the way, Prof, that you and I were at Polokwane when President Zuma was elected. We had another one of these types of interviews there. Did you see it coming?
Look, you were there and it was raining. Yeah. And we thought it was a good sign in African culture and in many cultures indeed when rain comes, and on such a fateful day. Unfortunately, some of us trust were betrayed. Many people had thought, given what he went through, including his unceremonious removal, and perhaps in retrospect, not necessarily unceremonial, he would do differently. Unfortunately, and indeed, unfortunately, he did what he did. And many people who were the champions and the architect of his rise to power and indeed into the State House, especially the quartet, right? They have since been thrown under the bus. They've gone out to form their own parties. Some are in the political wilderness. Yes, we are where we are precisely because of the people like Muzi, who refuse to see the obvious. And indeed, Zimbabweans didn't wake up in South Africa not knowing that they didn't do the right thing when they were called upon to do so. They can say what they will now that they are in the majority in South Africa than in their own country. But the signs were there, but they refused to act because they thought they can't be betrayed by the liberation heroes. Okay. Liberation heroes can also become liberation zeros. When I was young, I looked up to Robert Gabriel Mugabe, and I never thought it would come to this. He inspired us to read, to be politically aware, and to be politically active. So Muzi must wake up. South Africa belongs to all of us, yellow, green, white, and he must not believe in, but believe in what? Not believe in who, but believe in principles. He will never go wrong. And the people who are standing up, they are not white, they are not yellow, they are not green. They were marching in thousands in the past 3-4 weeks, saying it no more in our name. Okay. We shall take it upon ourselves to ensure that it gets back to the appropriate trajectory for our own and for the future of posterity, and even for posterity.
Bongani, you are in Tembisa, and let me just remind our viewers that please, when you call, just be brief, concise, to the point, ask the question, and let's get on. Bongani? Okay, Bongani is no longer there. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we continue this discussion. Please don't go away, and indeed we'll be waiting for your calls. What do you think of the latest developments?
If you ask this pretentious mixologist what is needed to make the ultimate cocktail, she'd say, a thorough knowledge of science. Ooh, right in the face. Yes. If you asked us, we'd say it's less about science and more about, well, chemistry. Tops at Spa. Good spirits, good advice, no rocket science.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time, and Dougie's on the line. Welcome, Dougie.
Hi, my friend. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Dougie?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yes.
You know who I blame for this mess?
Okay.
Is the judge, the Chief Justice. When he made the ruling against President Jacob Zuma for not complying with the Constitution, he should have then ordered that that President Jacob Zuma is not entitled to be the president of South Africa. He should have made that judgment. They didn't do that. They're the ones that you must blame for the mess that we're sitting here today.
Okay.
The other thing is, what was the other thing I had on my mind? You can watch all of them. They always want to run to the courts because they know they're as guilty as hell. So they know they don't have to pay for it. So they run to the court to say, no, it's my right. But when do they ever pay for it out of their own pockets?
Well, I mean, the judges are being very strict lately, Dougie. I mean, they are instructing people to pay out of their own pockets.
Yeah, that's only been now recently.
Yeah.
With Jacob Zuma, 783 charges. What's happened about that? Why is that a hara story now? Why is nothing happening on that side?
Okay.
They just hara in, and they allow him to do whatever he likes. Where he's supposed to, why haven't they then said, listen, you have not obeyed the Constitution. You're not entitled to be the president. The ANC has got to put somebody else in that place. That's what the judgment should have read.
Okay.
Because someone made his own judgment out of that. So the Chief Justice and those judges in the Constitutional Court, they to blame just as much.
Okay.
If they make the correct judgments, we won't have this problem.
Dougie, thank you very much there, Dougie, in the Val. And we were talking during the break here that why should the ordinary man or woman or child care about what is happening?
Thank you. It's an important question. First of all the taxes that we pay is paying for the corruption and the shadow state and the shadow cabinet that's in place. All the money that gets stolen is money that you and I pay taxes with. So first of all, the man in the street must care because it's our money. We're paying for the state, we're paying for this government, and that gets siphoned off. That's the first point. The second point is, as we were waiting for the show, the time to click on, the SACP, General Secretary Bladens Monday, just made an important point. He said, right now, the PIC, through the Government Employees Fund, is in fact being targeted for investments. So what happens is that the PIC actually invests into entities that are not viable. So which means it absolutely puts at risk the pensions of the people that's working for us, the government people. It's putting their pensions at risk. In 10 years' time, there won't be a pension the way the Transnet pension was raped. Currently, the GEPF, the Government Employees Fund, is currently being raped by channeling it through the PIC and from there into entities that do not deserve to be managed the way they are today.
Gift, you are in East London. Welcome.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you, my brother?
I'm fine, Pompo.
Yes.
Let me tell you one thing. You know what? I'm going to be briefly. Look, you are a sitting president. The very same deputy minister you deploy, it comes out. You don't do nothing. We can criticize the political analysts, civil society, as much as we want. But now, I'm telling you, even the people that the president, he was trusted, they are turning against him. You understand? Even if he's still using the best mood in the country, that mood is no longer powerful. I'm telling you, those emails, I'm telling you, Baba, I'm telling you, mark my words, I convinced that Jacob Zuma is going to a deep hole. He's going to a deep hole. He is defending something that now is not defendable now. I'm telling you.
Gift, thanks.
I advise him that don't resign. If you resign, you accept that you corrupt. I'm telling you, the man is going down. Thank you, Bo.
Thanks very much, Gift, there in East London. Prof, who is going to take us out of this problem or the challenges that this country is facing, which even the ruling party has considered that indeed we are sailing through difficult and dangerous waters?
I think it is people like Gift who's going to take us out of the rut. That they are opening up their mouths. They are taking to the streets in great numbers, yellow and green. That gives me immense hope. Our destiny is in our hands. The politicians have assigned the responsibility to govern. And if they fail, you have got the right to remove them from office by using that X on that fateful day when you are called upon to. And it is the people within the ANC that are also going to help some of us who think the ruling party has done a wonderful job. It has run its course, but now it's time out. Again, it is the people of South Africa. I repeat, South Africa is politically highly literate. It has got a very strong civil society. It has a very strong opposition parties. And that's the recipe for a successful democracy across the globe. When you have those, rest you assured. And above all, we have got our number 5 in the language of soccer. That is the Constitutional Court, right? That is the judiciary. I heard Daki say the judges should have gone further. That would have been very wrong. It is not in their domain. And it's even unfortunate that we are overburdening them with political machinations. They should be doing other things other than really arbitrating and even adjudicating in political matters. But there is what is called the separation of powers. The executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. Let's respect those. And let's strengthen the institutions of democracy, especially Chapter 9 institution. Let us indeed not erode the rule of law, because then you cannot hold a criminal accountable and responsible if number 1 himself is not seen to be exemplary and leading from the front.
Everybody keeps on referring to Zimbabwe, you know, that we are heading the Zimbabwe route. You know, Zimbabwe never thought they would be where they are. I mean, I don't want to be in Zimbabwe, in South Africa. So how are we going to avoid that?
We've got to go back to the roots of the problem. And our constitution clearly says government for the people, by the people. Now, what has happened here is the president has gone rogue. And I think that is why we generally in South Africa refer to Zimbabwe as a bad example, because that president has gone rogue. Quite rightly, and I like what the professor says, is that we've got institutions to protect us against rogue people. The Constitutional Court does not encroach on those things. The National Assembly has been established to keep the president to account. Hopefully, the Constitutional Court now will say either one way or another whether there's a secret ballot for the vote of no confidence. But the National Assembly has this absolute responsibility to speak on our behalf. 40, 50 million people of South Africa.
But how much do you trust the National Assembly if he made it out of the NEC?
You've got to trust the structures that were put in place. And if the structures don't work, we've got to go back to where the professor says, is we've got to make the X at the right mark, at the right place next time.
Okay, that was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and to you for watching the show. From me and the entire crew, you have yourself a wonderful time. Aibe Khotso.